Have you ever heard the story of the town that just disappeared? Not in a puff of smoke, but slowly, silently, leaving behind a husk of what it once was. Across America, there's a map of forgotten places, ghost towns poisoned by their own prosperity. Today, we're journeying into these toxic landscapes, places where the American dream turned into a nightmare. But we're also going to explore a new kind of ghost town, a modern myth born from the internet. The eerie, empty town with a single, mysterious, and perfectly operating fast food joint. Are these real? Are they just stories? Let's find out. Our first stop is Pitcher, Oklahoma. Looking at it now, it's hard to imagine this was once a bustling hub, the heart of America's lead and zinc mining industry. During World War I, half of the lead for bullets used by American soldiers came from right here. The town was booming. Families built their lives on the promise of the mines. But that promise came with a hidden, toxic cost. For decades, the byproducts of mining, a gray, gravel-like substance called chat, were piled into mountains surrounding the town. Kids played on them, thinking they were just big sandboxes. The streets were even paved with this stuff. Nobody knew they were living in a poisoned environment. By the 1980s, the truth began to surface. The water was contaminated. The ground was unstable, riddled with collapsing mine shafts that could swallow a house whole. The chat piles, which stretched for miles, were leaching lead and other heavy metals into the air and soil. A study found that over 30% of the children in Pitcher had elevated lead levels in their blood, leading to severe developmental problems. The very industry that built Pitcher was now methodically destroying it. The government declared it a Superfund site, one of the largest and most toxic in the nation. A mandatory evacuation was issued. People were paid to leave their homes, their memories, everything they had ever known. Today, Pitcher is a ghost town in the truest sense. Empty houses with collapsed roofs stand as silent witnesses. The high school football field is overgrown. The mountains of chat are still there, a permanent, toxic monument to a forgotten history. It's a haunting reminder that sometimes, the things that build us up can also be the things that tear us down. From the very real tragedy of Pitcher, let us shift to a place that feels like it's straight out of a modern campfire story. Have you seen those posts online? The ones that describe a perfectly normal, yet completely deserted, suburban town? The lawns are mowed. The houses look new, but there are no people, no cars, no signs of life. And then, there's the twist. In the center of this ghost town, a single, glowing beacon of civilization, a McDonald's or a Wendy's, fully staffed, lights on, ready to take your order. The story usually goes that a traveler, lost and low on gas, stumbles upon this bizarre scene. They're the only customer. The employees are a little too friendly, or maybe completely silent, their eyes a little too vacant. The food is perfect, but the experience is deeply unsettling. As they drive away, they look in their rearview mirror, and the entire town, fast food joint and all, has vanished. Ever heard those wild stories about ghost towns in the desert with fully functional fast food joints? Well, here's a theory that's even wilder. Some people believe these aren't just strange oddities, but highly classified military training sites. The idea is that these mock villages are built for urban warfare drills. The people you see working there, they could be soldiers or contractors playing a role. That's why the menu is so limited. It's all just part of the simulation. What do you think? It's a fantastic story, right? It taps into our fears of the unknown, the uncanny valley of a place that looks right but feels deeply wrong. These stories have become a new form of American folklore, spread through forums and social media. But is there any truth to them? The answer is complicated. Many of these tales can be traced back to what are called paper towns or ghost subdivisions. These are real estate developments that went bust. A developer buys a huge tract of land, puts in roads, streetlights, maybe even a few model homes, and then the market crashes or funding dries up. What's left is the skeleton of a town, a network of streets leading nowhere. They exist on maps, but not in reality. A prime example is a place that was dubbed the world's largest cul-de-sac in California City, California. It's a massive grid of paved roads in the middle of the Mojave Desert, laid out in the 1960s for a city that was supposed to rival Los Angeles. The city never materialized, and now you can drive for miles on empty streets with names like Galileo and Aristotle. passing nothing but sand and scrub brush. There's no mysterious Wendy's here, but the feeling of being in a vast, empty, man-made space is incredibly eerie. It's the perfect setting for a modern ghost story. So while you probably won't find a supernatural fast food restaurant waiting for you in the desert, the kernel of truth in these stories, the existence of these strange, abandoned projects, is just as fascinating. Let's travel to another toxic town, Centralia, Pennsylvania. Its story is even more dramatic, a fire that can't be put out. In 1962, a routine trash fire accidentally ignited an exposed seam of anthracite coal in an abandoned mine beneath the town. And that fire has been burning ever since. For years, residents tried to ignore it. Life went on, but slowly, the underground inferno made its presence known. Smoke and toxic gases began venting from cracks in the ground. The earth grew hot to the touch. Sinkholes opened up without warning, swallowing backyards and roads. In 1981, the ground collapsed beneath a 12-year-old boy who was saved only by grabbing onto a tree root. That was the turning point. The government determined the town was no longer safe. Just like in Pitcher, a relocation program was initiated. Most of the residents took the buyout and left, their homes demolished to prevent anyone from returning. Today, Centralia is almost completely gone. A handful of residents famously refused to leave and still live there, but the streets are empty. The buildings are gone, and a stretch of the old highway, nicknamed the Graffiti Highway, became a bizarre tourist attraction before it was covered with dirt. Steam and smoke still rise from fissures in the earth, a visible sign of the relentless fire burning below. Centralia is a real-life Silent Hill, a town being slowly consumed from within. So we have these two types of ghost towns. The toxic towns, like Pitcher and Centralia, are real-world ecological disasters, places abandoned due to physical danger. They are cautionary tales about the long-term consequences of industry and our impact on the environment. Then we have the modern myths, the fast food ghost towns. These aren't about physical poison, but about a different kind of modern anxiety. The anxiety of isolation in a connected world, the eeriness of corporate uniformity in desolate landscapes, and the fear of stumbling into a place where the rules of reality don't seem to apply. These stories are a reflection of our digital age, where a creepy photo and a well-told caption can create a legend overnight. They're less about lead poisoning and more about a psychological unease. What do these places, real and imagined, tell us about ourselves? They show our fascination with decay and abandonment. There's a strange beauty in these ruins, a pull towards the places that society has left behind. They are memento mori on a grand scale, reminders of mortality, not just for people, but for communities, for ways of life, for the very dreams that built them. The story of Pitcher is a story of exploitation and neglect. The story of Centralia is one of a slow-burning, unstoppable catastrophe. And the story of the McDonald's in the middle of nowhere? That's a story about our fears of the artificial, the uncanny, and the feeling that maybe, just behind the curtain of our normal, everyday lives, something is very, very wrong. Whether it's a real town poisoned by its past, or a fictional town born from a spooky online post, these ghost towns hold a powerful grip on our imagination. They are the blank spaces on the map where our deepest fears and anxieties can take root and grow. Thanks for joining me on this journey into America's forgotten corners. If you found this fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more explorations into the strange and unknown. See you next time.